Welcome to episode 3 of the ISO podcast. I'm your host Chuck Duru, and on today's episode we had Minnesota Lynx and GB international Temi Fagbenle. On today's episode we covered a lot of topics from her career to date, including moving stateside and playing at Harvard, getting drafted into the WNBA and winning a championship in her rookie season, playing in the 2012 Olympics, and GB's historic outing at the 2019 Eurobasket. We also delved into her recent ad campaign with Sports Direct and discussed opportunities for basketball players in the UK to, secure the bag through effective personal branding. But yeah, Temi and I have known each other for a while, so it was really good to catch up with her. She's really an inspiration, not just for female basketball players, but for basketball players period from the UK, given that she's probably one of the most decorated basketball players we've ever produced. And despite being only 27, she's had a really, really good career, playing in the Olympics when she was 19, and was probably the youngest player there. But yeah, it was a really good conversation. I hope you enjoy it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Share, please. I'm loving all the sharing going on. Shout out to you lot. But yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Temi, how are you?
Hey, I am doing very well. Thank you.
Good. How are you keeping in the lockdown and stuff?
Keeping well. I'm in Spain right now, Salamanca, Spain, and I actually wish it was warmer than it is over here. I think we're in higher altitude here, so it's a bit colder. So I'm not enjoying that part of it, but I'm still with my team. I was playing for a team in Spain, and so I'm still in the team apartment. So I'm chilling.
Good. What part of Spain are you in?
It's called Salamanca.
Salamanca.
It's in west Spain, which is near Portugal.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Well, yeah. I mean, you're not missing out much. I mean, it's just literally started raining today, and it's expected to rain all week in London. So.
But it was really good weather, though. The past few days, I was seeing, different people's pictures and all the sun shining in there and everything. While here, it's just been downpouring, torrential downpours.
Yeah, no, we got blessed with some. Well, I mean, you could say blessed, but I'm personally happy it's raining because I think people are starting to abuse the whole, lockdown, social distancing thing. But
right, and going outside.
Yeah, exactly, man. Just No,
they were really serious over here. Like in Spain, if you went outside, the police will actually stop you and ask where you live and make you turn around and ask where you're going, and you can only go out for groceries and for pharmacy, and if you're not going out for that, get back home. What are you doing? Where are you from? I'm just like, I don't speak Spanish. I don't know.
Yeah, no, they're trying to do that here, but Brits, man, Brits, the police are soft. Brits don't like to do what they're told. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for coming on today. First and foremost, I think the first time we met was, I don't know if you remember, the Barnet Bulldogs used to do those runs on Friday nights.
Yes.
In Burnt Oak.
Damn.
Long time ago.
I swear, like those Barnet Bulldogs, they're just so far away. Like I remember, like our Hendon Park times.
Yeah.
But Barnet Bulldog taking it back.
Yeah, man. Shout out Ted and Paloma.
Yeah.
Still going strong.
Neville.
Yeah. And Neville, yeah. Can't forget Neville.
Yeah.
So let's start at the beginning. How did you get into basketball?
How did I get into basketball? Well, I started off playing tennis, which was my first love, and I really wanted to be the next, Venus Williams. Me and my sister was supposed to be the next Venus and Serena Williams, but just didn't work out. I started off a bit late. We both did, and my dad decided that one day after tennis practice, he was just like, Tim, it's getting very expensive, especially with being a father of 12 kids. It's the bills kind of rack up after some time, and he was like, let's be serious about this. Like, are you gonna be professional, blah blah blah. And I thought about it. I was like, probably not at this age. I started at 13, 12, and when you want to be a professional tennis player, you kind of have to start from the womb,
Yeah.
And so even though I was decent, I just wasn't good enough in my eyes. And so he was just like, yeah, let's move on to basketball. Why not? I said, fine. I didn't want to do it, but I just followed in my brother Daps's footsteps. He went to college in the States.
Yep.
So I was just like, okay, why not? And since I have an American passport, I knew that it was going to be, an option, a viable option for me to go to the States too, and even an easier option in terms of visa, not getting a visa and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So you ended up then playing at Haringey Angels, is that right?
Yeah, Haringey Angels.
Yep.
My dad looked for some teams. Obviously, he saw Barnet, and then he saw Haringey, and he saw that Haringey was, even though they're not in our what is it, council is it called? Yeah, council.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That they're a good basketball team, and so I would travel by myself to Haringey practices from school, after school in Coptal, and head over there and practice. At first, my dad would take me, and I was terrible, but I learned it. I picked it up pretty quickly actually, and the year after, a year or so after I was about to turn 16, I went to a high school in New Jersey, in the States. So I started basketball at 14, and then left home, going into 16.
So this would have been after your GCSEs, right?
Yeah. After my GCSEs.
Straight out to the States.
Yeah, straight out, man. Straight out. It was crazy. I really wanted to go. I really wanted to leave home. I've always been independent. Something about London, like back then, I just always felt so stifled. At that age, like a young age, at 15, even before that, just coming back home after school and just thinking, I just felt stumped. Like, what am I doing? What is there to do here? Like, I don't know why I felt that way, but I did. And so I'm just happy I was able to branch out and leave home.
Yeah, no, I feel like that's a common feeling amongst a lot of young players. You get to that point where it's like England can only do so much for your career. You kind of want to go somewhere else and just.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
That's sad. I mean, I wish it was different. I'm hoping for an England in the future that can, provide, a little bit more than we're providing right now in terms of basketball, and hopefully more of the youth will decide to stay in England rather than be rearing to leave and go to the States. And the States will always be the bastion of, great basketball, I think. But other countries should be able to rival it, and some European countries do.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's getting better at least on the youth side, because they've got the EABL, the WEABL. So a lot of players I've noticed are staying in England till at least they're like 18, 19, and then making a move directly straight to college, or going to JUCO, or maybe doing a year of prep school. But I think the next step in terms of having that pathway is now just getting the league to a point where guys are able, if they want to go the educational route, to get a scholarship in the UK and playing the BBL or the WBBL, and just have that pathway where there's obviously going to be players still wanting to go to America, and because I don't think we're ever going to be able to compete with what they can offer in the collegiate ranks. But I definitely think it's heading in the right direction.
For sure, I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like also we just need to see more like opportunities for people like to play basketball in England. Like, we've got a few outside courts, but let's see like around every corner in America is like a basketball court. Like, indoors and outdoors. So like if we had more of an opportunity to just step out and like, let's go here and play, and like that would just be, I think so it's huge for the game.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. I agree. I think there's no such thing as playing too much basketball, especially when you're young. And like, I remember when I was at prep school, we literally we'd go to the local rec randomly during the day, and there would just be 10 hoopers there, just say like, yo, do you want to play pickup? And then some of the runs that are like quote unquote impromptu runs that I played in when I was there was just like, right, this is better than anything in the summer in England. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you went to prep school in the States?
Yeah. I went after I finished college. So when I was 18, I went to a prep school in Charlotte.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was really good experience.
Were you there as
A
a
lot of
postgrad?
hoopers. Yeah.
Were you there as a postgrad?
Yeah. As a postgrad.
Yeah, PG. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So yeah, enough about me. Back to you. So you end up going to play at Harvard after you finished schooling at Blair Academy.
yep.
What was the well, first of all, what was the recruitment process like? Because I feel like every British player has an interesting story about their recruitment process.
For college, yeah,
For
for
college,
university.
yeah.
Well, I mean, shit. I mean, I was actually highly recruited player.
Mm,
Thankfully, I was blessed to have improved so quickly, and I made the All American McDonald's All American team, and I was New Jersey Gatorade Player of the Year, and so I had a lot of eyes on me. I remember even counting around 60 plus schools interested in me at one point, and at this time they send so many letters.
yeah.
There was nothing paperless back then. It was just bunch of letters, and I just had bin bags full of them, and it was crazy. Just like, wow, all of these schools are interested, really.
Yeah.
And then while sifting through them, I saw one from Harvard, and I was just like, okay, well, academics is such a important part of our family, and being able to get a great academic, a great education is a huge deal. And so the fact that Harvard came knocking, it was just like, I don't know if I can turn this one down.
Yeah.
So I gave, it's such a big name in the world, isn't it? And
Yeah.
so for me, it really wasn't about the education. It was more about the name, the quote unquote clout. And yeah, no, seriously, and the networking. Like, unless you're going there to be a doctor or
Yeah.
something really like hardcore, like a lawyer or whatever, your education ain't doing jack,
Yeah.
in my opinion, for you, other than the fact that you went to Harvard, and so you got specific set skills, and that's already fantastic for your resume,
Mm-hmm.
So that was the biggest reason I went there. And it was just a blast, yeah, I mean, Harvard, I always knew in the back of my head I was going to pick Harvard, but I decided to, juggle other schools as well, just in case, they were able to sway me. I think Duke was up there, BC, Boston College, Columbia in New York, and I forget which other school, but it was a decent list, but Harvard just kind of stole my heart.
Yeah. Those are all like really, really good academic institutions. So like, it's no surprise. I mean, your parents must have been over the moon when you picked Harvard, like, especially coming from like a Nigerian, household. I know,
Exactly.
obviously being Nigerian myself, I know when
You
you go
already
to
know.
when you go
As
to
soon as
the,
they heard that, that Harvard came knocking, they already had decided in their heads that I was going there. So there was no like question about it where I was
yeah.
going to them. It was just like, okay, well, go and visit your other schools and see what happens. But you're going to Harvard, and my
Yeah.
other siblings were saying the same thing too. And I was just like, I wanted to be, headstrong and independent. And like, no, I will choose. Let's see what schools. Let's see the others. And I knew I was going to Harvard.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So what was it like then in terms of, because I don't actually know anybody who's been to Harvard. I've never met anybody, I don't think, that's ever went to Harvard, but I've always wondered like what it's like in terms of like the academic side.
Well, I
Like,
mean,
is it?
yeah, it is as crazy as it sounds. I mean, it was hard. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. Like that first year, I was kind of just thrown in the deep end, and I didn't do very well the first year. I don't remember my grades, but I definitely I got by, but it just was not the one. I was not happy at all. But year after year, I just, I was able to understand the system, because it really just is a system,
Yeah.
and knowing how to play it and knowing how to just do it well. But there are some geniuses there for sure. You know, I made friends with a couple. You know, I had one friend who one day I was going into the lunchroom and just for some food. I saw him sitting down. I saw a book he was reading, this thick book. So okay, in a novel. I saw on the cover like quantum physics, something. Said, so you read, you got, you know, you're doing some classwork, some homework. Oh no, just for leisure. This is just for pleasure. I said, okay. He's like that. Okay.
Yeah.
I said, all right, you just reading that for shits and gigs.
Just for banter.
But yeah, like it's such a blessing to be around those kind of minds, man. Especially if you're not one yourself. And I know for sure I'm not like a freaking genius. I'm smart, but come on, it's not that serious. So just being able to be in the space as those people and see how they work, how they think, how they, you know, react, you know, it's just amazing, and it's a true blessing. And I hope I imbibed some of, you know, their knowledge here and there.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I bet it would have been, man, because you know, like you said, man, some of the smartest people on this planet, you know, come out of Harvard. So yeah,
I'll say though also some of the dumbest people as well, because
really.
Some people I'm like, how did you get in? Like, seriously. And, you know, unfortunately, those people, you know, either were trust fund babies or,
right.
You know, some athletes, I would say, you know, were suspect. But Harvard has a high graduation rate, so not many people didn't graduate, but
yeah.
I was questioning a few of my classmates.
So from a playing standpoint, I understand you did 3 years at Harvard and then you did a year at USC.
Yep.
So firstly, how did that move come about?
Well, I don't know if you know, but the NCAA decided to revoke my first year of eligibility. So my first year of Harvard, I didn't even play. I was just sitting on the bench. The most I could do was practice. I couldn't travel with the team. Didn't play any games. So I was just like, I was very shocked, to say the least. But it was kind of a blessing in disguise, as I've said before, just in terms of being able to focus on academics a bit more than basketball, even instead of having to juggle both so heavily. But I could focus a bit more on my academics, even though I still didn't do well. It was just less of a mental burden for me, I think.
Right.
But I think it was, you know, moving on as I think on the years, my second, third, and last year, it was actually better to be able to juggle two instead of having so much free time. And I don't do well with too much free time, so
all right.
it was nice to like just really focus on, you know, having to do basketball now or having to do school now, and but yeah, so I had a year of eligibility left after I graduated, because the NCAA realized the error of their ways finally, and they were like, okay, here, you can have your year back. So I was like, well, for some reason I wasn't allowed to continue at Harvard, so I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to use this year to get a free master's somewhere, you know?
Yeah.
And I want to go somewhere warm. So, yeah, I was so done with the Boston winters.
Oh, I bet they were horrible.
Oh my gosh! And we had like one of we broke the record one time for the highest snowfall or something like that. It was just freezing, Jesus. And it was not the one. As an African, I feel like you can relate a bit. You know, yep. I don't know. I need some sun in my life.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I got at USC, and I was happy every single day. Like, that was such a blessing for me. Yeah.
So in terms of if you compare like the standard in like the Pac-12 to like the Ivy League, would you say it was like a massive jump?
Yeah, actually, unfortunately, actually, I didn't think it would be, but it was. Just was. There's not much I can say about that. I mean, it was definitely more physical, I would say. Girls were bigger, just stronger. What's it called? Yeah, fast. I would say even a bit faster, and just more talented, really, just more talented. And so I was very happy for that transition because it upped my game as well, for sure.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So you graduate from USC and you end up going pro.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that and the WNBA draft.
Okay. Well, at USC, my what's it called? My degree was a 2-year degree, but I was able to speed it up and do it in 1.5 years.
Right.
Um, because for some reason they were just like, no, we're not going to pay for the last year. After, I don't know why they went back on what they said, but they were like, okay, we're not paying for the last year. You're going to have to speed it up. So I ended up doing a year, and then I did summer school to try, to finish it up, to finish my credits. And so I ended up graduating in December of 2016, but the draft, WNBA draft, was in April or something? Yeah, April 2016. And
Yeah.
the WNBA season started in May 2016. So what happened? Did I go to WNBA? No, I didn't. I skipped that year. I skipped that season because I wanted to finish my masters. And apparently, I was told, hearsay came about and told me that I was going to be drafted in the first or late first round or early second round in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
But since I decided to stay and do my masters, I might not be drafted, or if I was going to be drafted, I was going to be drafted real late. I was not expecting to be drafted because of that, but I ended up being drafted second to last by the Minnesota Lynx. And so this drafting, enabled them to keep my rights for 3 years. So they had the rights to me, when I was finished with my education.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that first year I played in the league. They didn't need me, and I feel like that's the reason why they drafted me so late. And they didn't really need anyone. They had a solid team, and we won the championship that year.
Yeah.
I was helping from the bench, of course. You can't undervalue the role of the bench players.
Nope. Very important to any championship team.
For real, man, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I've been the go-to player, and I've been right in the bench, and I realized any role on the team is actually very important. And I feel like everybody, I've said this before, everybody needs to go through that humbling experience because, I was ready to go. I was ready to play. I was ready to help the team any way I can. And I just didn't play, and it wasn't really something that was vocalized to me so clearly, like, okay, you're not going to play this year, just focus on riding the bench. And I would have, okay, if I was told that would have been cool. But I had this feeling like, okay, cool, I'm going to play. I'm going to get something. I don't know. I'm going to help the team somehow. And yeah, I was able to help the team somehow, but I was going to be right in the bench. So I had to figure out how I was going to do that to the best of my abilities. And, I was the best cheerleader you would have ever seen. So, hey,
Yeah.
I did my...
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I think what you said is really important. I was talking about this the other day to a friend. I feel like a lot of players, when it comes to basketball, they end up quitting. A lot of players end up quitting because they go to a situation, or they come from a situation where, they're the guy, they're the star, and then they get put in a position like you were, where you've gone from being the centerpiece to being a role player.
Right.
And then I guess that mental adjustment to, being the coach's favorite, just being a role player. A lot of players aren't mentally strong enough to deal with that, and it leads to some players. Some players thrive, some players it ends up, better in their career, and they kind of get the experience of both, which essentially makes them a complete player. Some players fold, and it gets too much for them. They feel like they're not the player they once were, and then that's it.
Right.
What I mean? They don't want to play. They lose their confidence, and then that's it.
There was many a time I thought that, what am I doing wrong? Like, am I not a good player anymore? And I felt like, my game was diminishing. I was, what's the point? Like, I'm like, what's going on? Like,
Yeah,
what's wrong with me? And I really felt like a bad player, but I was drafted for a reason, I got to
exactly.
this. I'm in the WNBA for a reason. There's only 144 spots in the league. Why am I here? I made the team, for goodness sakes. Why am I here?
Yeah,
So I had to remind myself that I am an amazing player, and this is just a temporary role, on this team. Make the most of it. Be the best you can be. Still put in work after the games if you need to.
mm-hmm.
Do what you need to do to stay in shape. And let's keep it pushing. Like, it's not that serious. At the end of the day, I always tell myself it's not that serious. Whether you're the go-getter, the go-to player, or the role, whatever, the bench player, it's not that serious. It just really is not for me. That's kind of like my mantra.
Yeah,
And it's helped me throughout my life. Like, nothing is that serious.
yeah. No, I think that's a great mentality to have, and it's something that I think will carry you, like, well beyond playing, in whatever you do, like. Let's touch on your international career then, because you've had quite an international career. You represented England, would have been England at the time, in 16s and 18s. Is that right?
Yeah, 16s. I think I don't know if those are 14s, but I feel like I did 16s and then 18s and then GB under 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was, yeah.
And then
man. Sorry?
Sorry, no, I was just gonna say, and then in your what would have been your final year of playing for the junior international setup, it happened to clash with a quite major tournament.
Please refresh my memory.
The one in London that was in 2012.
Oh my gosh! Oh, the Olympics. I'm like, what is going on? Don't remember. Yeah, no. Yeah, that little tournament
that little tournament. Yeah. The one in Stratford. That one.
Yeah, man. Oh gosh, yes, the Olympics. Wow, what a time, man. And actually, I was 19 at the time, and I was at Harvard, and as I told you, the NCAA took a year away from me, so I hadn't played a collegiate game yet. So I was there. For some reason, I made the team. Actually, I know why, because I'm a great player. So let's not put doubt in ourselves.
Good. Can't forget.
Of course. I made the team, and what's it called? Jeez, my memories now are just literally failing me. The training camp. Oh my gosh, it was brutal. In order to make the team, I remember, because my knees were so bad back then. I was feeling pain. I battled knee pain for so long. Now I thankfully don't, but all throughout my career up until 2017, I was battling knee pain.
Yeah.
And just brutal workouts, using the hypoxic, using some random contraptions, and just killing ourselves.
Yeah.
And finally the day comes, people getting cut left, right, and center, and then finally we made the team. Me and my roommate Dominique Allen were just ecstatic, jumping on our beds, just screaming like, "We're going to the Olympics!" Oh my gosh, such a blessing, man. And yeah, I mean, of course I had to miss the GB under 20s for that. And so, just thinking back to the opening ceremony, just how much of a spectacle it was. Obviously, we were the last team coming in as the host team, right? Mm-hmm. And so we were able to take everything in our glory, coming inside, seeing everybody waiting for us, everybody in the crowd, in the stands, just, it was just amazing. It was just truly a once in a lifetime experience, being able to host the games and being there for it.
Yeah, and it was. I think I watched all of the women's and men's games, and the women were involved in some real heartbreakers, man. Like, I remember, I think it was the game against France that went to overtime.
Oh my gosh, man.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite a tournament, man. Like, I think the women were unfortunate to not pick up any wins, but you could see, like, the foundation was there. Like, you could see that there was something there, and they were a few years from being, a really good team. Fast forward to Eurobasket, and how things changed, or how right a lot of people were who thought that there was a lot of potential in the young core of that Olympic team.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, the young core, we still had not so young anymore, but still going. But that core, we still have it, or had it in Eurobasket. And so we were fortunate enough to have that knowledge of each other, that familiarity, and it definitely played a big role in our success. And just loving to be with, around each other. I think that's another thing that's underestimated. Like, although I don't need to be friends with everybody on my team, like it's just it makes things so much easier when you're just vibing, when you're chill with each other, when you actually don't mind being in each other's presence, when it's a actual joy, and you consider yourselves family. And so, yeah, I mean, you start fighting for each other a bit differently, as opposed to just, random teammates.
Yeah.
So that definitely played a big part in our Eurobasket success. And our coaching staff as well, just the positivity they just instilled in us also played a big part in it. Like, we all felt that we could win. We all felt that we were the underdogs, but people thought of us as the underdogs, but we really weren't. We were supposed to be there.
Yeah.
We earned our way here. We fought. We fight. Everybody hates playing against GB just because we're dogs. Like, we just fight to the end. Even if we're gonna lose, we're still gonna fight. We're gonna make it hard for you. So, and that's what I love about us. And yeah, man, it was just our time in Eurobasket, right?
Yeah.
And also me, like, I was just determined to win. Like, that's pretty much it. With that focused mind, it just becomes a different situation, and that's what happened. And it was just amazing just to have that support of my team as well, because without my team, I'm not doing any of this stuff. I couldn't be as successful as I was. Everybody had my back. I had everyone's back, and it was a great success. Obviously we broke history.
Yeah.
We made history, or whatever it's called. And it was just, it's a great memory. It will last for me, with me for the rest of my life. The other memory that lasts with me for the rest of my life, unfortunately, is the Olympic qualifiers, but we can get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So yeah, just on Eurobasket, again, I followed the whole tournament. I was actually in Amsterdam, I think, when I watched your game against France. Oh, France again.
Oh.
we don't like them.
Tired, man. The France and Serbia game, we were tired, and like, it's not even funny because we rotate, but we don't rotate that much, and so and even if we did, everybody was busting their ass, and so when you play, what is it? I think we played 7 games in 9 days or some rubbish like that, or something just unnecessary. We were just. Let me just speak for myself, but I know the other women were, exhausted. I was dead. We did our goal. We got where we needed. We got to the semis or whatever we went to. Quarters. And I was still gonna fight, but I knew how my mind and body was feeling at that point, and it was just, we still felt like we could beat France.
Yeah.
And I feel like we could. I remember, we could have beat them, man. We could have beat them. I don't know what went wrong. I don't even.
Honestly, like, that game, my heart has never been racing. Like, I remember I was at dinner with or lunch with a friend of mine, and I was watching the game. I felt really bad because I was watching the game whilst I was at dinner, and it's like, I think you guys went on a run in the fourth quarter. Yeah, and then I was just like, come on. And then, like, I think the guy to my left was looking at me like, what's he doing? I'm thinking, the game's on, the girl's gonna do it. But yeah, no, it was a crazy game. I think France had that guard. I think her name was Johannes. I think her name was.
Johannes, man.
And I think they said she had her best game of the whole tournament against GB.
She was playing really badly the whole tournament.
Yeah.
And we were worried about it, and of course she would play well against us.
Yeah, the one that's not on the top of the scout.
I mean, she's an amazing player, in general. So it's just like, okay, you never know when she's gonna I don't know, emerge from that shell that she was in. I don't know what was going on the team, but she's an amazing player. So the fact that she was not on her game the whole tournament, and then she decided just to bring it out against us was a shame.
Yeah. No, it really was, man. But yeah, it was great. I mean, I think I read that your aim and objective of the tournament was to first and foremost secure Olympic qualifier a place in the Olympic qualifying tournament, which you were able to do. And then for you personally, making the all tournament team, I think you led the tournament in scoring. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. I think I did.
So,
I think I did. Yeah, that was a kind of like a nice icing on the cake, I would say, for that time. Just kind of validation of all the work I put in that time, and also the Olympic qualifiers time. But as I said before, and everybody says this when they win awards, but without my team, I couldn't have been there. So it was definitely a team effort. And I'm so thankful for it. I'm so thankful for that time, man.
Yeah, no doubt. So we go fast forward to the Olympic qualifiers. Originally it was supposed to be held in China. Is it China? And then it got moved to Serbia. Is that right? And you were drawn with South Korea, Spain, and China, yes. So yeah, talk to me about that.
Do I have to? I'm kidding. I mean, jeez. What happened again? Blacked out.
So your first. Sorry.
I said, yeah. I mean, we lost, didn't we?
Yeah. I mean, you're unfortunate. I think the first game was against China, I believe.
Yeah. And I mean, well, we put up a fight. Let's not just diminish our effort, I guess. We put up fights in all games. The China game was tough. They were not expecting us to be so close. To be honest, I truly let me see what I can remember, because I don't know if I can remember much about that. We were close. That's all I know. And we had a fighting chance in both the Korea and China game.
Yeah.
And we just couldn't secure the bag. We just couldn't secure the damn bag.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I watched that game. That was China they had the center who was like really, really, really tall.
Dude.
I think that was she was like 6'7" or 6'8".
She was like 6'9".
6'9" even, yeah. Blocking everything.
Long, yeah. I mean, she was scoring jumpers like that was her thing. I mean, we didn't scout that. Jeez. I mean, she played well. Props to them. They fought. I mean, they have a lot of pressure on them. Being China and all.
Yeah.
And Yao Ming was even there. He flew down to be around them, and it was just like, okay, this must be serious. And they fought like their lives depended on it. Maybe their lives did, and they won. But I just remember that just playing against those huge girls was just brutal. Like I don't know. I've lost some weight, so I'm feeling real skinny right now. But I was just fighting. I just remember just fighting down there in the post, and especially that other big one. There's another big one there. That I had to I don't know, maneuver around them. I don't even know how I scored, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, we fought, man. Props to my girls, but wasn't enough.
Yeah. So what's your view in terms of like the future of GB women's basketball?
Yeah, I mean, just to touch upon the men as well. Like, we're definitely we need to be a team. Like, we are GB at the end of the day, and like even if one team is doing better, quote unquote, than the other team, we're still fighting for the same thing at the end of the day. And in 2012, it was the men's turn, to get that one win that gave hope to gave hope to the the future of GB, and okay, we can actually pull off a win. And even though we were close with France, we also did our thing and fighting head to head with them, and so it was just kind of like a battle for recognition, battle for funding, battle for everything. We're going through this together, and it's kind of easy for the spectator just to poo on, even though you didn't. I'm not saying you
No,
poo-pooed on
I
any.
wouldn't, man. I wouldn't.
Just in general, like just to say, oh, the men aren't doing well, oh, the women aren't doing well. It's not easy, man. Like,
Nah,
look
it's
at
not.
it's not easy. Like, really look deeper than what you're just saying, like than surface level. Like, why? Why are these the issues?
Yeah.
And a lot of it stems to lack of funding, lack of support, and this is quite unfortunate because it just plays a big role in who we're able to get and how we're able to perform.
Yeah.
So, in terms of the future for GB women, I personally see a bright future. We have a lot of talent coming up, young talent.
Yep.
That I see on Instagram, like all these people on Hoops Fix, I think, or She Hoops UK or something.
Yep.
And I'm like, all these girls are from the UK. Like, damn, when are they coming? Like, when are they coming up? This is amazing. This talent I'm seeing here is clutch, and I hope I'm still playing. When the time comes for them to come and play in the senior women's level, because that would be just dope to be able to play with that kind of talent. So, no, I'm very optimistic for the future of the women's team in terms of the talent. Now, in terms of funding, that's another issue, and that determines a lot. So,
yeah,
we'll just have to see.
No, I think that's fair. I think I agree, man. I think you've got a lot of young female players coming through the system. You've got like Holly Winterburn, who's I think she just transferred out from Oregon. You've got Kyla Nelson. You've got a lot of young and up and coming talents. So yeah, I do think the women's future's bright. I think the men's future's bright as well. I just think with the women's game, if you compare the two, I think the pathway's a bit better at the minute for women.
Sure.
You've got, I think there's more opportunities in the WBBL for young players than there is in the BBL for young players. I think you can be 17, 18, 19. You'll see a lot more 17, 18, 19-year-olds getting that opportunity in the WBBL when they're relatively young, before they go on to, say, America or to go pro. Whereas I don't think the BBL, the sort of junior to BBL pathway is quite where it needs to be. And like, if you look at other countries, you see, I remember when I was younger, we went to Germany and played against Alba Berlin. And they had players in their sort of under-19 team that were training with the men's team before they were allowed to play in the Euro Cup. Do you see what I'm saying? So they have that pathway where it's like, if you're young, you can stay at the club and get your experience playing, in one of the highest levels in Europe, play sort of, your age group and develop like that. And I think whilst, the WBBL, you don't get the opportunity to play in Europe, that is still invaluable experience of playing up when you're young. I think it does wonders for a lot of players.
No, absolutely. I completely agree with that. And, I don't actually know the ins and outs of the English system, the UK system, but, I don't want to poo on it, but I've heard it's obviously, just when you compare it to the States, it's not up for sure. But
no.
I hope it can grow from strength to strength for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I can, possibly play a part in, its future in some way, maybe, if that's supposed to be my path. But, I'm just excited to see how it's going to grow in the next years,
Yeah, no, it's very true, man, and I agree. Sort of staying on basketball, but a little bit off. You did a recent campaign with Sports Direct.
Right.
So how did that come about? And talk a bit about that.
I think Eric Boateng from GB, he put my name forward. He's not a GB player anymore, but he's
Yep.
on the board or something, I think.
Yep.
Some board. And he put my name forward, and they ended up contacting me. This agency that was working for Sports Direct, and so I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. But I'm in Italy at the moment, so I don't know what you're thinking, but I'm gonna be in Italy, so if you can come and shoot me here, that'll be great. And they could. They came to Italy and they shot me there. When I was in the UK, we did a photo shoot there, and it just really worked out fantastically. You know, I had some time off for basketball for some reason, or I made time off. And it just coincided with that time, and it was just a fantastic experience. And I'm definitely gonna make more time off for things like that, because this is right up my alley.
Yeah. And like yeah, I think it's important like for like I think it's really good that you're able to like collaborate with like a massive brand, essentially. Um
Right.
and it's one of the things like I've always said with basketball in England, there's so many things, you could point to that needs improving, but I think one thing that sticks out to me is I feel like basketball in Britain doesn't have enough personality and doesn't have enough branding from the players.
It's
And
real.
I think campaigns like that are the sort of things we need more British players, basketball players. Essentially, obviously the opportunities are depend on the business, the massive corporations, but I think a lot more. We need a lot more like our big name players, or whether that's international or players in in the pro leagues, is being in those sort of campaigns, because
Right.
I think again, like I said, like I think there's a lack of sort of personality in British basketball. Where like if you look at like say other major sports, like whether it's the NBA or the Premiership or whatever, you'll see like Raheem Sterling on the front of a I don't know an ad for a company, or you'll see you know whomever, you know what I mean. And I think
No.
that exposure, I think it does a massive favor for the athlete's
Again.
personal brand.
Mm-hmm.
And in amongst that comes further opportunities. You grow your brand, people get to know you a bit through your ads. Oh,
Right.
that's Temi from the Sports Direct ad. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying? And it grows your brand. And
Right.
obviously, what comes with having a big brand? More money. Do you see what I'm
Right.
saying? Like whether that's directly or whether that's people investing in you as a brand, and as a rather than just investing as you as just a player on a basketball team. Do you see where I'm
Right.
coming from?
Oh, for sure, and it most importantly, it grows the game. You know, it
Exactly.
grows the it gives it so much exposure.
Mhm.
And who's that basketball player? Oh, she played basketball. Oh, I'm gonna play. I'm gonna look into basketball. It
Yeah.
just puts us on the map even further, which is
Yeah.
very crucial at this point. And I just wish someone would take the initiative. And I don't know, it's strange, because even when we did such a great job at Eurobasket, you would think there would be, options, of endorsement or something like that
Yeah.
from, the angle, for the team, for individual players, but there was nothing,
Yeah.
nothing. I had to go out of my way to reach out to different companies I was interested in and be like, hey, we're both, you're a British company, I'm a British athlete. Would you like to collab? And everyone, they were all on board, but it was just like, why do I have to do this?
Yeah. And I think that's the unfortunate position I guess basketball is in. Not just women, the men's as well. It's like
Yeah,
at this point where the sports, what I mean, not I wouldn't say small, but not what I mean, relatively small.
right,
It might take the athletes, to reach out to companies and maybe hire in maybe a marketing manager or
right,
someone like that, and just sort of
yeah,
market them. Do you see what I'm saying? Because I
for
think
sure.
it will take this if this sort of crop or like generation of athletes who are what I mean are doing big things within the sport, if they can sort of start the train, and then the next generation that come up, they just kind of what I mean, they're doing it for the next generation and the next generation. Before you know it, you've got British basketball players on the face of campaigns for massive companies. You know what I mean? It becomes a regular thing, and
Yeah.
that's the thing. We're in a generation. We're in an age where like people fall in love with people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Me and my sister always talk about this all the time. There's a reason why Cardi B's one of the biggest superstars in the world.
Right.
In that world, because she's personable. People feel like they know
Exactly.
her. They see her
Exactly.
everywhere. Do you know what I mean? They see her
See
doing Pepsi
themselves in
ads and
her
stuff.
too.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
So, and I think British basketball needs to sort of come out of its shell. I think, and that's kind of one of
Sure.
the reasons why I did this podcast. Is like I want most of my friends are basketball players, and we are some of the funniest, craziest, coolest people. You know what I mean? You'll ever meet in your life, and I
Which
want platforms like mine to sort of showcase that. Do you see what I'm saying?
absolutely no.
Yeah.
I commend that effort for sure, and I think this is a great step in achieving that for sure. Like even me, I'm feeling way more comfortable speaking on here than any other interview I've done. It's more free. I'm able to be Nigerian. I'm able to be an athlete. I'm able to be me.
Yeah.
And I hope people can see this and enjoy it as well.
Mm.
But so yeah, props to you for starting this.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Making me
no,
blush.
for sure. You don't blush. You can't see
I
your
know.
face.
I played myself. But yeah, just finally to round up, plans post playing. Have you thought about what you want to do like when you finish playing basketball?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, you actually spoke about a marketing manager just before, and I'm actually looking for one now. So let's just put a little plug out there. No, for real, no, I'm looking for I've had different opportunities, but none have been kind of like right, and
Yeah.
I need someone who's got a good mind, and to just let's get this ball rolling. Like, let's find different opportunities and be creative. And that's actually right up my alley, what I want to do in terms of after basketball, even during basketball. I'm interested in modeling. I've done some photo shoots here and there, just for my own portfolio and to put it out there and to see if there's interest. I'm interested in acting. I just kind of want to just put myself out there in the entertainment industry, in the entertainment world, and just see what I can do, in order to create and to tell stories, and in order just to, be a life, a different life out there. I'm a 6'4" Black woman. You don't see many, if any, people like me in the acting industry, and so that would be a fantastic thing to tap into if I can. But I'm also running a business right now, so I'm juggling a few things. But for sure, the creative side of me in the entertainment industry is a big thing for me. I have brothers in the entertainment industry.
Yep.
Shout out to them, Dapsy Doodoo, who is what's it called, music video director.
Yep.
And my actor brother OT, my other musician brother Rockwell. Wow, we got a few, and my producer brother Luty as well, doing big things. Shout out to you guys.
Yeah, man. Family for the winners, man. Like,
no, for real, man.
for real. But yeah.
But yeah, I gave you a little snippet of what I'm interested in. So hopefully we'll see how the future holds. What the future holds.
We shall, and I'm sure you'll be successful whatever you do, man. Because throughout this interview, you've shown like the mentality you have.
Right.
It's taken you where you got to today, and it will continue to take you further, I think.
For sure, and I think that's such a huge thing, is the mentality. Like, I don't know how the youth are today. I hope the British youth aren't, as similar to the American youth I saw, even back at USC, where, I was basically playing as a PG, I was a grad student playing in basketball, and, a lot of them are just felt really entitled to things, and it's just like, dude, you just have to work hard for this, man. What are you doing? Where's your fight? Where's your drive? Where's your passion? And so I hope, British youth at least are able to understand that this is what is needed to succeed in the next level. You can't be mediocre. You have to be better than what you thought was your best. And you just have to keep it pushing and work hard every day. I know it's a cliche, work hard, but you really got to do it. You got to put in the work.
Yeah.
Just results, yeah.
No, I agree, and it's funny that you should say that because me and Kofi spoke about that, and the thing we both sort of experienced from being in America was that the main difference between I think America and here is America, you're sort of bred to be a dog, like to be a superstar, and like to be the best in the room, and I think
Absolutely.
that mentality, I always say that mentality, I think equates to scholarships to, some players, some players may not have the skills, they may not be the most skilled, they may not be the best, but
Mm,
their mentality and their willingness to be great takes them
yeah,
far. It takes them further than
absolutely.
their skills do. And I think that's one thing I always say this to any British player that tells me they want to play in America. I said, it's a dogfight out there, and if you ain't got bark, stay here, because you could be the best shooter in England, you could be the best ball handler, but if you ain't got that dog in you, you're gonna go to America and you're gonna get eaten alive by players half as talented as you, just because they want it
Absolutely.
more.
Yes. Oh my gosh. This is what I've been trying to tell my brother.
Yeah,
Yo, you gotta be hungry for this, man.
hungry.
Especially as a man, it's a different game in the man's arena. Like
Yeah,
they've been playing for much longer than us women, and they have, there's more fight there. Like there's more competition. The women are getting there slowly, slowly as competition increases. But men have been there. Like this is their territory.
mm.
And so for you now to just come in, little British boy, coming in and you think you can just party with the men. No, it's not gonna be easy at all. Like you won't even be able to get through the door. Like you have to bring something different that the Americans maybe don't have or something. And that's the hard. It doesn't sound like you can do it because it really is hard. So
Mm.
you gotta bring something different, man. As a
Yeah,
British person, yeah,
no, hundred
yeah,
percent.
man.
But yeah,
Yeah.
appreciate you coming on. Have you got any social media that you want to plug, or anything you're doing that you want to plug?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this podcast will be on social media, but my name's Temi Fagbenle, so I know you may not be able to spell the last name, but you can do it. Figure it out. At Temi Fagbenle, at Temi Fagbenle for Instagram. I'll be a bit more, what's it called, on Twitter nowadays. So it's at Temi Fagbenle on Twitter, and just Temi Fagbenle for Facebook. But yeah, just check me out if you're so inclined.
All right, Temi. Thanks again for coming on, and I wish you all the best in your
Thank you.
season. Stay safe. Don't
Thank
go out
you.
unless you need to.
Absolutely not. Don't worry. You too. Stay safe.